On today's episode of House of Solace, I'm going to be discussing the topic of direction. So, very often when we're going about making decisions and choices for ourselves, decisions and choices for others, as well as just having an overview of our lives, the word direction often comes in. We wonder, okay, which way am I going? Which direction am I taking myself when I am choosing this career path? Or which direction is my relationship going in? Or which direction are my fulfillments? Where is it that I must look to seek? Or where is it where I will find what will truly bring me happiness and contentment? These are just some of the questions which we as people find ourselves asking very often. And most times these thoughts are taking place in our subconscious. And I just want to create this episode to somewhat help understand, break down, and dissect these thought processes and what might be happening when we think this way. So, relating this to myself, because there's no human being I know better than myself, I would say direction always comes in usually when we've already made a choice. And I know this might sound like quite a contradiction because it somewhat is. But if you really think about it, let's say, for example, you have two fruits in front of you. You have an apple and you have an orange. And then you say, oh my goodness, I don't know. Which direction do I take? Which choice do I make? Do I want the apple? Because, I love apples and usually that is the fruit that I go for. But right now in this moment, I'm really craving an orange and the orange is really standing out to me. I usually don't eat oranges that often, but for some reason, today, the orange feels like the right thing to pick, the right fruit to pick. So, people in that position might say, oh, I don't know, which one do I go for? Which one do I go for? What do I do? And then you begin to delve into your thoughts, and your thoughts will tell you, well, then don't go for the orange because you like apples, you always eat apples, so just choose the apple. But then another part of your thoughts say, yes, but maybe you should try something new. What if you eat this orange and choose this orange in this moment, and then it begins to be your favorite fruit, and you might no longer enjoy apples. So this example as to how I was saying, usually when we feel like we lack direction, a choice is already made. How that's connected to this example is that we already know what it is that we are used to doing, or what it is that we are accustomed to usually doing, versus something new which we want to try or do. And this battle, this back and forth, is usually us going to war with our thoughts, with our beliefs, with our morals, with our routines. Because as people, we are creatures of habit. Once we do something one way and it shows to be effective, we often just try to repeat this process. But we must always understand that the beginning of knowledge is understanding that we know nothing. We must understand that to continue to grow, to continue to discover ourselves, our likes and dislikes, we must also be trusting in the selection of things which are different from the paths we usually take, different from the choices we usually make, environments that juxtapose those that we're usually in, or beliefs or ways of being, ways of living. It is important to be open-minded, because a closed mind is a dead mind. We must always be open and receptive to the things which could transform the way that we think, transform the way that we live, or the ways that we exist in all forms. So, back to the example. By picking the apple, something you already know, and trust and believe is gonna be good, that's safe. It's safe, of course. You're gonna eat it and it's gonna be fine, just like any other day. But the day that you choose to trust in yourself to say, although this might not be what I usually do, although this might not be the way that I usually think, although this might not be the usual path that I take or had assumed I would have taken, from that idea I formed in my head, from those traditions I formed in my head, from those traditions and beliefs that were formed and instilled in me by outer influences, I'm going to be trusting in myself. I'm going to be trusting to say that although this might frighten me, although this might seem a bit mysterious, a bit unknown, I'm going to lean into it. Because the worst has already happened, in the sense that by negating away from what you already know and leaning towards the unknown, you already know that if the unknown presents a non-desirable outcome, the known is still there waiting for you to fall back on. So truly, what do you lose by going after your dreams? Truly, what do you lose by thinking a new way? What do you lose by viewing things in a new light, through a new eye, through a new lens? What is it that you lose? Not very much. But what is it that you gain? You gain a lot. You gain the understanding of both, the good and the bad. You gain the experience of both, the good and the bad. There is no greater teacher than time and life. And life is time, and time is life. We must be trusting in all the experiences that we go through. We must be trusting in all the encounters, in all the people that we meet, that there is something to be learned, that there is something to be gained, never lost. Although certain situations, while we are experiencing them, we might feel as though they're breaking us down, or they're hurting us, or they're challenging us. What they're actually doing is they're transforming us. They are growing us. They're opening our eyes. They are opening our mind. You must view things as so, that even the things that might be unpleasant are a blessing. Every heartache you've been through is a blessing. Every pain and struggle you've been through is a blessing. For if you had not gone through, if you had not experienced, then you would have never known. So, when it comes to the direction of your life, when it comes to the choices you make, don't waste your life and don't waste your time pondering too long, worrying too much, self-doubting too much, to a point that it keeps you stuck and stagnant and afraid to move, afraid to make a decision, to make a choice, to choose a direction. Never be stagnant, for that is the death of self. Never be closed-minded and fixed in one way, for that is the death of knowledge of mind. Never be closed off to saying, I know things to only be one way and not another. I know things only by what I see and not what I feel. I know things only by what I hear and not what I feel. Because that is the death of spirit. But remain open. Remain open to new things, to new experiences. Never remain in one place saying, this is my home, this is my country, and I refuse to view another, to experience another, to live and move in another. To say, these are my traditions and beliefs. I refuse to appreciate those of others. I refuse to learn and build on those of others. For this is the death of the body. We must be open. We must be always learning. We must be always forthcoming and welcoming to things that might be pointing to a different direction than that we are used to. Trust in thyself. Trust in God. Trust in the all that is life. Every emotion, trust in it. Every experience, trust in it. Every thoughts you have, even the doubts, trust, for they are leading you. They're leading you to something that is of good, something that is of your betterment. Trust that all things work out in divine alignment, in divine synchronicity for your betterment, for your growth. There is no such thing as a mistake. No such thing as a coincidence. For every piece of the puzzle completes the picture. I am House of Solace. Thank you for joining me today. And until the next, stay blessed.